Hey you guys, welcome back to a new video. Now this video here, I don't think it's a very controversial topic, but what I want to get into today is how can you build a savings if you're here in Korea between 1 to 5 years. Now most people leave with the conversion rate or whatever they call it. You cannot build a savings. Even living off of 2.5, it's not easy to build a savings here, whether you have obligations back home or you don't have any obligations, you're just trying to like build a savings before you go back. So in this video, I'm going to show you how you can build a savings here, even with all your little expenses that you have. And this is from someone who's been living in Korea a little over 4 years now. And I've had multiple different salaries. So I think if I could do it, I definitely think you could do it too. And I have an obligation back home. I am going to show you two different salaries. I'm going to show you 2.5 and I'm also going to show you 3.0. These are all approximations. The first thing that I want to look into both of these salaries are what are the mandatory deductions. The first mandatory deduction is going to be your pension. And from what I'm understanding, your pension is half comes from you, half comes from your boss. And I believe the whole percentage is like 9.5, but you pay like 4.75. I believe I put like the cutout down here. So it's like 4.75 times your salary, and then your boss will match it. They give that to the government. We're going to come back to that. So at 2.5, 4.7%, 4.75%, I believe is 118,780. I'm looking at my paper. 750. 750. And of 3.0, that amount is going to be 142,500. That is automatically going to be deducted out of your paycheck. The next thing is going to be your health insurance. And I believe there is a formula for like health insurance. Earned both of these salaries before, so I'm going to put the approximate amount that was taken out of my paycheck. At 2.5, it was around 98,970. That is rounded. And out of 3.0, it was 118,770. And then we're going to go to our taxes. That's a percentage too. I'm not too confident. I really don't know how to explain it, but what I will say is taxes in Korea are way less than they are in America. So for total tax at 2.5, it's 34,400, and at 3.0, it is 45,000. Both of these numbers are rounded again. There's also a local tax that's taken out of your pay. So at 2.5, there's 3,700, and at 3.0, it was 4,800. So total deductions for both, total mandatory deductions that are going to come out of your paycheck. At 2.5, it's 255,825, and at 3.0, it's 311,071. This leaves you with a take-home pay, approximate take-home pay of about at 2.5 at 2,244,175 won approximately. And at 3.0, it is going to be at 2,688,930. Next, I'm going to talk about your expenses. All right, now these are, I'm not going to say these are mandatory, but you more than likely are going to have these living here in Korea. Yes, your apartment is free, but you do have to pay the bills that come with your apartment. Also, if you want a cell phone, you got to pay for that cell phone too, because it's not going to be free, but it's definitely going to be cheap. I can't remember my old apartment expenses, so I'm going to use the expenses I have for this particular apartment. All right. So when it comes down to expenses, my electricity, well, I say electricity because it comes in like a little papers like green and blue. It's not just electricity. It's electricity, it's gas, and it's my water. And I believe there's like a fee, like a building fee or something like that. That comes to around 172,000 won per month. That's like my average. It definitely can go up in the winter and in the summer because you're using the heat or you're using the air conditioning. When it comes to my internet is only 17,400. I'm not going to say that's the general price for internet. That's actually the lowest that I've ever paid. Next is going to be my cell phone. This has never changed since I've been here, but I think it's still really cheap. It's only 51,200 a month with SKT. That is 100 gigabytes of internet, unlimited talk and text. And last, now this one varies a little bit. This is my food expense because I do put food in my home. I like to cook my meals. That goes from a month, 210,000 a month. at the lowest to 250,000 won a month that I spend on food. Even if I like my first week or like whatever I get, I get paid, I spend like 180,000. As you know, and I'm sure you guys know too, every week you kind of like jump back into the market because you want to get a couple things. So at most, I think I spend like 250 a month total at the grocery store. Now, when we total up all my deductions, that's going to give me a range of 450,600 won to about 490,600 won for everything, all of my total expenses. Now, when I take my total expenses and I subtract the highest number, the 490,600 from the 2.5, that gives me a take home, not really take home, what I can spend on myself or what you can spend on yourself at the lowest amount of 1,753,575 won. At the highest amount, taking that 490,600 from the 3.0 salary would be 2,198,000 won, 330 won. Excuse me, I said that wrong. I meant 2,198,330 won total. I think those numbers are pretty good. Like that's what you can have to spend on yourself. Maybe you want to buy a ticket somewhere. You're going to cafes, which we're going to talk about. You're going to a concert, whatever you want to do. I think that's actually a decent amount. All right, so let's get into saving. So the method I like to do is like 10% of your savings, but there are two ways you can take 10% of your savings. You can take 10% of your gross, which is like your whole, the 2.5 to 3.0, or you can do the net, which is, after like the taxes and pension. All right. If we do 10% of the 2.5, your gross would take home was 250,000 won per month. If you do 10% of what you take home after like your pension, health insurance, and taxes, that is going to be 224,418 won. All right. Now, if we look at the 3.0 side, that's 10% of 3.0, 300,000. If you do the 10% from what you take home after taxes and everything, that's going to be 268,893 won. Now, what I would advise you to do is open up a second bank account. Bank accounts here work a little bit different. Like in America, we have like a checking and a savings on the same card. So what I did was I opened up a second bank account in Korea, and that's where when I get my paycheck, I transfer the money to that bank account. If you want to know what is the best bank account, I will tell you the foreigner friendly bank in Korea. I think like the number one foreign friendly bank in Korea is going to be Hana Bank. I think KB Bank is like the largest bank, but I also think it's foreigner friendly. I haven't had any problems with KB Bank. Whatever bank account the school helps you open up a second bank account. But Hana Bank is the foreigner friendly bank. All right, so let's continue on. Because let's say you consistently made all of your deposits faithfully every single time you got a paycheck. All right, at 2.5, you would gross for 12 saving deposits 3 million won. If you deposit the net amount 12 times, that would be 2,693,016 won. If you make 3 million won, you would accumulate 3,600,000 won. If you do it by net, you would accumulate 3,226,716. Now, let's say you've been here for 5 years, right? And in this example, I'm just going to say that you stayed at the same school for 5 years. At 2.5, even though your salary went up, I just still kept it at 2.5. If you would, just the base, if you kept it at 2.5 and you're saving 10%, your gross savings would be at 15 million won. Your net savings after taxes, your savings would be at 13,465,080 won. If you deposit the 10%, at the 3 million for 5 years, your savings would be at 18 million won. The net, again, after taxes, pension, health insurance for 5 years would be at 16,133,580 won. I think that's actually pretty good over 5 years. If you say, oh, that's too low, how much money can you save on your current salary in 5 years? If you could do more. So next, we're going to look into severance. Now, with the severance amount, I did take in the factor that every year your school is going to be increasing your pay by at minimum 100,000. I wanted to make it a little bit more realistic when it came to the severance amount. At a 5-year severance at 2.5, which is 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, 2.8, 2.9, those 5 years, you would accumulated 13,500,000 won. I want to say this about the severance. The severance is it's only taxed at like whatever the tax percentage and maybe the local tax. Pension and health insurance do not come out of your severance. So that number is it's a little higher than what it should be, but I don't know the tax calculations here. So I did not factor that part in. When it comes down to your 3.0, your 3.0 pension amount would be at 16 million won. And again, I did not deduct taxes. I am not a Korean tax professional. I don't know exactly, but I can give you a good estimate, a very close estimate of what your deposit will be. Now, let's look into pension. Now, pension is that amount that I first told you, that 4.75 that will be deducted from you, and your boss will also have to pay, and they will give to the government. You will actually get that back once you leave Korea. At 2.5, your approximate pension amount would be 15,390,000 won. At 3.0, your approximate pension amount would be 18,240,000 won. Again, this is approximate. So don't come here and be like, I'm gonna have this exactly in my pay. You know, not every English teaching or native English country gets a pension. Not everyone pays into it. I know South Africa, I believe the UK doesn't. You know, I'm going to put a screenshot here of actually what countries do not get the pension. Okay, so if we total up just the severance and the savings, the severance and the pension at 2.5 would be at 28,080,000 won. All right, for 3.0, your approximate total pension and severance amount would be at 33,280,000 won. I think that's great. Over 5 years, you're probably wondering, well, what is that in USD if you're watching from America? I'm about to talk about that next. At 2.5, if you stayed here for just 1 year, your total savings plus severance and pension net would be at 8,043,016 million won. That's $5,163.33 net. If you look at the total amount of everything gross, it's going to be 8,350,000 won. That's going to be $5,360.40 gross. I think that's decent for 1 year. Looking at year 5 at 2.5 million won, you will net a savings, a total amount of 42,353,080 won. That's going to be $27,189.15. When you look at gross, that's going to be 43,890,000 won. That's $28,175.80. I hope I didn't say and 2 times. Again, all of these are approximate. Now, let's look at 3.0 at 1 year. At 1 year, savings, severance, and pension, you would accumulate a net total of 9,649,716. I just said and again. And when you convert that to USD, that is going to be $6,192.84 net. Gross, right? That's going to be 10,020,000 won. When you convert that to USD, that's $6,432.48 gross. Year 5 at 3.0, your approximate net amount would be 50,373,581, $32,338.02 net. When you look at gross, that's going to be 52,240,000 won. Convert that to USD, it's going to be $33,536.19 gross. I think these are actually pretty decent numbers for a structured saving amount if you're going back home after 5 years or even 1 year. If you can save this a year, awesome for you. great for you. I really am. Not being sarcastic. That's awesome. But for being someone that's not a licensed teacher in a foreign country and being able to save this amount in 5 years, if you stuck to the plan, I think that's great. All right, that is the end of the video. I really hope that you got something from that. If you're on your way to Korea and you want to save some money by the time you go back home, I hope you found this very, very useful. Again, these are all approximate amounts. Don't think, I think you can take home very close to this after 5 years, especially if you have those salaries. You can definitely take home very close to what I said. Also, before I go, I want to shout out someone who's been watching my channel, and he just created a YouTube channel called Go Soul. I think it's called Go Soul. That's what I heard him say. And he shouted me out on his channel. And I want to say thank you so much. I hope you've seen this video. I want to shout you back out because you shouted me out. The reason why I created this channel, yes, to inspire more African Americans like myself, or Black Americans like myself, to get out, live abroad, travel. Don't let fear run your life. But it's not just people who look like me. I want to inspire everyone to live abroad, everyone who wants to live abroad, to travel, to go places that they have never gone before, to experience different cultures, different foods, different music. I want to inspire all of that. So thank you so much. And I'm glad that I inspire every single one of you guys, anyone to live abroad, to come to Korea, to teach in Korea, to stand up for yourself. Anything that I've said, that I've inspired you or just made you feel better, I'm so glad that I've had that effect on you. If you're new to this channel, please hit the subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much for your support. Next week, I will be back with a new video. I'm already scouting out locations. I have some ideas in mind. I even have some ideas for what I'm going to shoot in September and October, some glamping locations, and I hope you guys will be there to enjoy those videos. Again, thank you so much for your support. I will see you guys next week in a new video.